Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All praise is due to Allah, who give us blessing and guidance so that we can meet in this beautiful morning to explain our presentation today. Islamic civilization of the Safavid Dynasty in Persia. The Honorable, our supervisor today, Mrs. Faridatun Nikmah, thank you for give us the time to explain our presentation today, and the Honorable, my beloved friends. First, let me introduce to you our member today. I'm Sadatul Fikriah and I'm here with my friend Imro Atus Sholihah. So this is the contents of our presentation today. First, there are opening, and then there are history of the Safavid Dynasty in Persia. After that, we next to the caliphs of the Safavid Dynasty, and then the civilization and talk of the Safavid Dynasty in Persia. And the last material is factors of decline of the Safavid Dynasty. And there are conclusion in the end of our material. So the first material is history of Safavid Dynasty in Persia. The end of the reign of the Abbasid Caliphate was beginning of the fifth period. Islam began to enter the Persian territory around the 7th century, namely during the Caliphate of Umar bin Khattab. However, when the politics of Muslims began to decline, especially due to the attack of the Mongol troops in the city of Baghdad in 1258, it not only ended the Abbasid Caliphate, but also started a period of drastic decline in Islamic politics. His territory has been torn apart in small kingdoms that are hostile to each other and fighting each other. Several cultural heritage and Islamic civilization were destroyed by the Mongol attacks. This situation is clearly worrying. However, this condition changed with the emergence of three major kingdoms, namely the Safavid Kingdom, the Mughal Empire, and the Ottoman Empire. The establishment of the three great kingdoms was the beginning of the political revival of Muslims. The Safavid Empire is seen as the foundation stone of Iran's national history. The kingdom, which originated from the movement of this religious congregation, made a major contribution to fueling Islamic civilization in Persia, both in the political, economic, socio-religious, as well as arts and culture fields. These advances were finally able to make the Safavid Kingdom a superpower Islamic empire. The Safavid Kingdom was founded in 1503 and still alive until 1722 AD. At that time, the Safavid Kingdom was established when the Ottoman Empire in Turkey had reached its peak of glory. The Safavid Kingdom originates from a Tariqat movement that was founded in Ardabil, a city located in Azerbaijan, Russian region, which was named the Safavid Order. The name Safavid itself was taken from the name of its founder, Sheikh Ishaq Safiuddin, or better known as Safiuddin. And the name Safavid continued to be maintained until this tariqat became a political movement. In fact, the name continued to be preserved after this movement's success in establishing its glory. First, the movement of the Safavid order was aimed at fighting the dissenters, and those they called Ahlul Bid'ah. But the existence of this tariqat became increasingly important after it changed from a small local tariqat to a large religious movement in Persia, Syria, and Anatolia. And after that, the students of this tariqat turned into regular soldiers, fanatical in the beliefs of the Shia sect, and opposed everyone who was not of the Shia sect. The Safavid movement then expanded and developed so that at first it was only a religious movement that developed and grew into a political movement. This is indicated by their strong desire to the tendency to enter the world of politics took a concrete form during the leadership of Junaid. This dynasty expansion led to a conflict between Junaid and the ruler of Karakoyunlu, or they call it Black Sheep, one of the ruling Turkic ethnic groups in the region. In that conflict, Junaid lost and was exiled to a place. In this new place, he received protection from the rule of Diyarbakir, aka Koyunlu. They call it White Sheep, and he lived in the palace of Uzun Hasan, which at that time controlled most of Persia. While in exile, Junaid didn't remain silent. He was even able to muster strength to form a political alliance with Uzun Hasan. He also succeeded in marrying Uzun Hasan's sister. And then he tried to seize Ardabil but failed, and he tried to take Circassia, but the troops he led were blocked by Sirwan's army. He was killed in this battle. And at that time, Junaid's son, Haidar, was still small and under the care of Uzun Hasan. Therefore, the leadership of this kingdom could only be officially handed over to him in 104,070 AD. Uzun Hasan's relationship with Haidar was getting closer after Haidar married his daughter of Uzun Hasan. After Haidar married the daughter of Uzun Hasan. From this marriage was born Ismail, who later became the founder of the Safavid Empire in Persia. So this is the history of the birth of the Safavid Daulah, which was originally a Shia religious sect. And then let's go to the next material, the caliphs of the Safavid Dynasty. The Safavid Empire was led by 11 caliphs. In general, the map of power is divided into 4 periods. The first period began when Ismail proclaimed himself as the first leader of the Safavid Empire and ruled for 23 years. Within 10 years, he had success in expanding his territory, covering Persia and the eastern part of the Fertile Crescent. Political ambition prompted him to expand his wing to control other areas, even to the Ottoman Turks. The war between the Safavid Empire and the Ottoman Turks occurred in 1513 and in Calderon, which caused the Safavid to experience defeat so that they could be controlled by the Ottoman Turks. The defeat undermined Ismail's pride and confidence, so he preferred to be alone, hunt, and have fun. This resulted in a triangular competition between Turkic tribes, officials of Persian descent, and the Kizilbash for influence in leading the Safavid. And then the second period. Hostility with the Ottoman Empire continued after the death of Ismail I. The war between the two kingdoms occurred several times during the reign of Tahmasp I, Ismail II, and Muhammad Khutbanda. During the time of the three kings, the Safavid Empire experienced weakness due to frequent wars against the stronger Ottoman Empire. And then the third period. The poor condition of the Safavid Empire could be overcome after the fifth Safavid king Abbas I ascended the throne. The reign of Abbas I was the peak of the glory of the Safavid Empire. He managed to reclaim several territories that had been captured by other kingdoms. The steps taken by Abbas I to restore the Safavid Empire were 1. Trying to eliminate the Kizilbash troops by forming a new army from Georgian, Armenian, and Circassia slaves and prisoners of war, and 2. Entering into a peace treaty with the Ottoman Turks by ceding the territory of Azerbaijan and Georgia. And the last period, fourth period. After the death of Abbas I, the Safavid Empire was ruled by 6 successive kings, namely Safi Mirza, Abbas II, Sulaimah, Hussein, Tahmasp II, and Abbas III. At the time of these kings, the condition of the Safavid Empire showed a decline which eventually led to its destruction.
And the next material is civilization and thought of the Safavid dynasty in Persia. 1. Field of politics. The first Abbas was able to overcome various domestic conflicts that disrupted the stability of the country. He succeeded in reclaiming territories that had been captured by other kingdoms during the reigns of previous kings. 2. Field of economics. After the control of the port of Abbas, one of the sea trade routes between the east and the west was. It could be contested by the Dutch, British, and French that they completely belonged to the Safavid Empire. In addition to the trade sector, the Safavid Empire also made progress in the agricultural sector, especially in rice, fertile crescent area. 3. Field of science. Many scientists who emerged, such as Baha al-Din, Ashairoji, Muhammad al-Bakir al-Din, Ibn Muhammad Damad, each scientists in the field of psychology, history, theology, and general science, and someone who has observed the life of beasts. 4. Field of physical building and art. The city of Isfahan is beautified with well-arranged tourist spots, so that when since Abbas died in Isfahan, there have been 162 mosques, the largest of which is the Shah Mosque. Isfahan had 48 academies, 1082 inns, and 273 public baths. 4. Field of social and culture. The Safavid Empire also established diplomatic relations with various surrounding kingdoms, such as the Ottoman Turks, Mughals, Sarimias, and Russia. This relationship brings peace and harmony. The social and cultural conditions of Persia are developing very rapidly. 6. Field of religious. With the relations between nations that exist from these activities, it affects the socio-religious life in Persia. The Safavid kingdom implemented religious tolerance with the demonstration of the construction of the flank courts as form of respect for people of other religions. And the next material is factors of decline of the Safavid dynasty. Internal factors. 1. During the time of Safi Mirza and Shah Abbas II, the administration of the government was changed to several rich provinces under the central government, ruled directly by the Shah. This policy brought negative consequences for the kingdom, namely weakened the Kizilbashi group that controls the province so that the kingdom loses strength, because these weaknesses are not immediately addressed, and the power of the Gulam, who do not have combat qualities like the Kizilbashi group. 2. The occurrence of power struggles in the kingdom caused by the tradition of appointing the king. 3. The moral descendants of the kings and their cruel waters, such as Safi Mirza, who didn't hesitate to kill royal officials. Abbas and Solomon were drunk and didn't pay much attention to the condition of the kingdom. As a result, the people were apathetic towards the government. External factors. 1. Prolonged conflict with the Ottomans with the Safavids that never stopped, resulting in the weakness of Safavid power. 2. Thus weakness invited the enemy's courage to seize their territories, coupled with the fact that many areas within the Safavid territory broke away and carried out rebellions in areas that broke away from the kingdom. From the internal and external factors above, the Safavid kingdom finally experienced destruction and ended the power of the Safavid dynasty in Persia. In 107,036 ED, which was overthrown by Nadir Shah, the head of one of the Turkic tribes in Persia at the time. Okay, the conclusion of our presentation, that is, the Safavid Empire in Persia ruled between the years 1052 until 1622 ED. This kingdom originated from a Tariqat movement called the Safaviya, which was founded in the Ardabil area, Azerbaijan city. The founder of this kingdom was Ismail. During its development, the Safavid Empire was ruled by 11 rulers and was divided into 4 periods. Islamic civilization in Turkey has progressed in the fields of politics, economy, architecture, art, and tariqat. The heyday of the Safavid Empire was during the reign of Abbas I and suffered a setback after the death of his reign. Daulah Safawiya, which was originally a Shia religious sect, then eventually became a great Daulah who was very instrumental in advancing Islamic civilization, even though it could not match the Abbasid state in Baghdad, the Umayyad state in Spain, and the Fatimid state in Egypt during the heyday of the three kingdoms. Okay, that's all from our presentation. We please you who is still confused about the material. We will allow you guys to ask questions. You can send it via WA group. Thank you so much for your nice attention. May what we have delivered be useful in our lives in this world and hereafter. We do apologize if you found many mistakes in our presentation. And the last I say, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.